Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, uh, in this overall series of lecture, we are discussing the stage efficiency, the calculation of actual number of trays, then there was column height. Next, like column diameter and tray layout. So out of these all outlines which we started, I think 2 lectures back or maybe 3 lectures back. So we have discussed stage efficiency, the different ways to calculate the efficiency as well height. So all that was covered in 2 lectures. Up to the last lecture, we just finished here height of the column. So the next topics left over related to this are related to diameter of the column, calculation of diameter of column as well, flooding velocity. Then there is something called tray layout. I think this topic is not that important here, so we'll be skipped. So uh, last time the things which we have covered quickly, I will revise them. That we started when we started the design of tray tower, because this is the last lecture, so today we have to conclude. So before that, just quickly the summary of all that stuff which we have discussed so far. Initially we started with the calculation of number of theoretical trays by using 2 methods, graphical method and analytical method. And then we started that actual number of trays are not equal to the theoretical number of trays. The reason is that on the surface of tray, when we either use analytical method or graphical method, we consider that the liquid and vapor leaving from any tray, they will be in equilibrium. But in reality, that's not achieved. That's not possible to achieve 100% equilibrium, thermodynamic equilibrium between vapor and liquid. And due to that, we said that separation which we were expecting on any plate will not be completed. So we have to jump for something more number of trays as compared to the calculated by these methods. And then there came the concept of this tray efficiency, and 4 different methods were discussed in detail to calculate the efficiency. And when we can find the efficiency and know the theoretical number of trays by these methods, then actual number of trays can be found. And after finding those, then we discuss something called height of the column. This was discussed last time, that you have to decide some tray spacing, and after that you place the number of trays which you have found, and how many trays will be installed for a specific separation in a column. You have to add some height at the top of the tray for liquid droplets disengagement from the vapor, and some space need to be provided at the bottom of the column for accumulation of liquid. So next, the part is related to column diameter, but before we jump to the column diameter, that's something called flooding that is necessary to be discussed, and that is the concept linked with the column diameter actually. And then we will look for the tray layout at the end, and with that it will be concluded. Already we discussed this somewhere earlier, that when you are using tray tower and if it is operating properly, so there were various conditions, and those conditions are like vapor which are moving upward actually inside the column. They should pass through the opening. Either those opening can be in the form of sieve, valve, or there was some other tray type. So vapor should pass only through those regions, and the liquid which comes down, that should come through the downcomer. So this is normal operation. But what happens in some cases, that liquid start passing through those points from where only vapor should pass. Those are called perforations on the surface of tray. So that phenomenon was named as weeping. So in normal column operation, liquid shouldn't weep. As well as liquid should not be carried with the vapors to the above tray. That phenomenon was called as entrainment. So in normal operation, neither weeping nor entrainment occurs. As well, the other condition, that for the vapors, they should just pass through the perforation, come in contact with the liquid, and should move towards the next tray, upward up the tray, next tray, and so on. But that there was another phenomena, that if maybe vapors are just trapped inside the liquid and they move towards the down tray along with the liquid through the downcomer, so that should not take place. Vapor is neither carried, which was called occlusion. So they shouldn't be occluded downward by the liquid, nor allowed to bubble up through the liquid in the downcomer, mean vapor should only jump from one tray to the other through the perforation to the path which is allocated for the vapor, not it shouldn't pass through the passage of the liquid, and that passage is called downcomer. So for normal operations, we will say that vapor should pass through the perforations and the path designated for the vapor, and the liquid should come down through the downcomer. And these abnormalities like weeping, entrainment, collision, these shouldn't take place. So when we look at the tray layout, actually in tray layout, when we look at the tray diameter, and at times we will be looking at some things related to this, but overall diameter of the area of the tray is divided actually into two parts, and those are named as one is like bubbling area, or the active area through which vapor and liquid come in contact with each other, and other is called downcomer area. So total area of any tray, like for example here you can see number of trays, so any area, I think this was also discussed in last lecture somehow, complete tray was shown to you, and we discussed that there is some area for vapor liquid contact which we call it either bubbling area or active area, and other area is for downcomer. So on any plate there are two downcomer area, one is for the liquid coming from top plate to this tray, as well the area or downcomer area for movement of liquid from this tray to the next tray below this. So this area, bubbling area, is that area where liquid vapor contact takes place, and due to this we call it active area, where this activity of mass transfer takes place, and this just is you have to subtract downcomer area from the total area, or we can say that this downcomer area plus bubble area is equal to the total area of tray. So in these various trays shown here, like you can see that there are some arrows, they are showing the direction of the liquid moving on the surface of the tray. From the top tray, the liquid will be coming to this tray, and it is accumulated or calculated, received here in downcomer, and then it starts traveling on the surface of tray. So in this tray, we can see that it is divided into like two pass flow. So some liquid is moving towards this center point, and other is moving in other direction. So they are just accumulated here, and there will be wear, so they move downward to the next plate, and when just plate below this J plus 1, so when liquid is just received on this surface, dotted line actually shows the receiving of the downcomer area. So then it starts moving in both direction on the tray, and that's accumulated at the ends, and then it moves down and so on. So in other trays you can see here maybe more than two pass. For example, in this there are three pass and there were four pass. So earlier we also discussed this, the reason to go for more passes. So in normal when you look at the flow of on the surface of trays and contact of the liquid and vapor, so various phenomena takes place, and this diagram was also quickly discussed somewhere earlier. So on x-axis there is a liquid flow rate, on the y-axis there is a vapor flow rate. So here are various regions or the phenomena mentioned on this diagram. So quickly let's look at them. So there are actually four limitations when you look for the operation of a column. So what are those limitations? First one, for example, here we say that initially, just start from here, there is something written excessive entrainment. Whenever liquid flow rate is low but vapor flow rate is very high, so entrainment of the liquid starts, vapor starts carrying the liquid droplets with them towards the upper tray, and that phenomenon was called entrainment. Already was discussed it. So we have discussed these definition, what is entrainment, flooding and weeping, etc. So just quickly we'll explain what this diagram shows. So along with this, if along with the vapor flow rate, if liquid flow rates also start increasing, so in that case the entrainment become excessive, and after that leads to something called jet flooding. So when there is a very large amount of vapor being carried away from the liquid, and also the liquid flow rate is sufficiently high. So in that case, it leads to the phenomenon called entrainment or jet flooding. Here it is still excessive entrainment because liquid flow rate was less, but if liquid flow rate is already also increased, so we have seen somewhere earlier that there were various phenomena when vapor and liquid come in contact with each other, and something was called tray, and there was this jet flooding, and a few other were discussed. So jet is when very large amount of liquid will be carried out with the large amount of the vapor. So that's called flooding, entrainment flooding or jet flooding. So the other limitation of this is related to this downcomer choke flooding. So in this case, you can see when liquid flow rates are very high. So in that case, we can read to this phenomena of downcomer choking or flooding of the downcomer. So in that case, what happens actually, the liquid flow rate is too high or too much in amount, and maybe the downcomer area when it was designed is not designed to handle that large capacity of the liquid. So in that case, there will be a flooding. Flooding actually refers to the very large amount of some flow. So in that case, it can lead to that if your area of the downcomer is less, and in that case, liquid which want to come to the downward plate is large in amount, so you will be reaching to this limit. And another case that was related to the weeping. So here all these three lines, they are just indicating the weeping. So weeping was a phenomena in which when vapor flow rate is decreased sufficiently high, so in those cases liquid starts passing down to the downward plate through the perforations of the plate. So instead of passing or going through the downcomer, some amount will start moving to the down plate through the vapor flow area, that was like perforations, valve, or bubble caps. So that can lead to the more excessive weeping if a vapor flow rate keep on decreasing. So finally you will reach to the some point which is called dump point. So dump point is that point where the vapor flow rate becomes too low, and all the liquid passing through the tray, that will be just coming towards the down plate through the these perforations or the passage of the vapor. So all the liquid going from one plate to the next plate will be moving down through the vapor flow area or through the perforations, and neither of this will go to the downcomer. So that is called dump point. So the operation or efficient operation of the trace or a column takes place in between these four boundaries, and those boundaries are like excessive entrainment, then entrainment flooding due to the vapor, downcomer flooding, and excessive weeping. Efficient operation lies just in between them, and how to achieve that efficient operation just to avoid these conditions, and how those conditions can be avoided, that lies on some principles, or sorry, some guidelines, and those guidelines are, for example, downcomer flooding, which we said here, the choking of the downcomer, that usually occurs when there is very high flow rate of the liquid. So that's only critical in that case, or maybe in case of very high pressures. In high pressures, with the high liquid flow rate, you can understand that there will be a large amount of the liquid that cannot be handled through this. So there will be a flooding of the large amount of the liquid will be passing through this area, which is small area. So other case of this high vapors, in case of a high vapor pressure, large amount of liquid is entrained towards the top of the column, and in that case, when you are carrying large amount of the liquid to the top of the column with the vapor, so in the upper column portion there will be very large amount of the liquid as compared to the for which it is designed, because in that case here vapor has carried away large amount of the liquid in those cases. So all this can be avoided actually if you keep this pressure as per designed inside the column, so that vapor didn't carry much amount of the liquid to the top. But always there will be some carryover of the liquid, so that we will discuss. But before that, this can be avoided, due to the large amount of the liquid. The downcomer choking can be avoided if you provide at least 10% of the cross-sectional area for the downcomer area. For complete plate, if it's 10% area is dedicated for the downcomer, this condition of the downcomer flooding due to large amount of the liquid can be avoided. Whatever is the column size, what are the flow rates, if you just designate 10% area for this downcomer, then you will not reach this condition. As well, for the other condition, which is like carry away of the liquid with the vapor. So if you give a sufficient tray spacing, for example up to 24 inch, so you can avoid excessive carry over of the liquid with the vapor, because when there will be a spacing between the tray, there will be disengagement area, or the area where liquid droplets can get separated from the vapor, unless vapor has very high pressure and they can carry all the liquid to the top. So for usual design limits, when we look at like to avoid this entrainment flooding, so in that case, actually the rule is that your entrainment rate, for example, if we just represent it with the E, so that should be kept below 10% of the liquid flow rate. So E, entrainment rate, should be below 10% of the liquid flow rate. So in that case, you will not reach to this limit of entrainment flooding and then the downcomer flooding at the top of the column. So when we are designing it, we have to keep this in mind, that entrainment rate shouldn't exceed this. When it will be exceeding this, then definitely you can reach to any of these abnormalities inside the column. So when we look at now, these are few just basics, just to look at something which we are going to discuss further. So out of this diagram, as here we have discussed that there are 4 restrictions around the operation of the column. They include entrainment, flooding, like then there is a downcomer choking and weeping. As we discussed that this weeping takes place when vapor flow rate is too low, so this usually didn't occur until unless vapor goes to very low flow rate as well as pressure. So this is not a big problem as well. Downcomer flooding or choking is also not a big issue. If you just give 10% of the tray area to the downcomer, this will be totally fine. But this, yes, is problematic, like carry away of the liquid with the vapors, and that should be considered. So majorly the design of a tray or diameter is linked with this phenomena of flooding or entrainment flooding. So here how it's linked, actually column diameter is determined by entrainment flooding. Before we just look for the diameter calculation, here we will look at something called entrainment velocity. What is that? Our flooding velocity. So by this, looking at this, that carry away of the suspended droplets by the rising vapor, or throw up of the liquid by vapor jets, that shouldn't take place at any of the tray, either valve, bubble, or the perforations. So based on that, diameter is decided. But before that, as we are going to look at what is or how we have to calculate the flooding velocity. So whenever vapors are passing through some tray and they are coming in contact with the liquid, definitely they will carry some liquid with this. But if vapor velocity is low, their pressure is low, so in that case a droplet of the liquid will not be carried with those vapors, because they don't have tendency to just carry the liquid to the top. So there, those those water droplets which are carried will be just settled down, and this will be done in the while vapors are passing from one plate to the other. And for that we have seen that if you provide a sufficient spacing, the liquid droplets will start joining with each other, and when big droplet is formed, due to gravity, it will just fall down. So but if vapor velocity is very high, then entrainment will take place and they will be able to carry the liquid droplets with them to the just top of the column. But we have to look at that point when just this phenomena starts taking place, like entrainment velocity, when it starts entraining the liquid droplets and it's incipient, mean the point at which it just starts. So that velocity, how to find, or how does that phenomena occur? So when you look at any droplets which is just being carried by the vapor, so at that time when it is being carried, and we just consider that this is just start of the phenomena, so a vapor are carrying the liquid, and the liquid droplet is neither settled down, not just entrained with them, but it is just suspended between the two trays. So at that time there will be the three forces acting on the droplet. One definitely will be the gravity. With this it will be attracted towards the bottom tray. As well, there will be two other forces which are called buoyancy forces and drag forces. So when any vapor, you already I think studied these things in fluid subject. So whenever these three forces are like in a balance and something is suspended, so sum of these three forces is equal to zero. So gravity force just moving it down, and then these two forces which are just pulling it up, their summation is equal to zero. So we can just replace these values. For example, for gravity you have a formula mg, and m is replaced with the density into the volume. So density of this liquid droplets and volume of this droplet into gravity. And similarly you can see for the drag force as well as for the buoyancy force. So buoyancy is I think related to density into gravity into the volume of the particle or any droplet on which this force is acting. So this is pi by 6 dp cube dia of this particle, and there is a drag force on this. So that was I think called r equal to cd, area of that particle on which the force is acting, and then u square or velocity with which it is moving or being moved towards the top, because this is the drag by the vapor which is dragging these liquid droplets to the top, and into the density of the vapor or the medium which is just dragging the liquid. So I just you can rearrange this equation. The finally we want to find this flooding velocity, which we are saying just the starting point when vapor just start carrying the liquid. So this equation can be just rearranged simple into three steps. You can reach to this conclusion that this velocity will be equal to this some constant which is dependent on the drag force as well as the dia of the particle, and then there is a difference between the density. So sorry, R factor relating the densities of vapor and liquid. So we can write this UF or velocity is equal to C. C is this constant which is equal to all this big factor. So multiply the density. So this parameter C will so here you can see that C will just increase when we will just increase the particle diameter, or if it decreases with the this CD or drag coefficient. So one thing important here, if we want to measure the C, it is difficult to measure the particles diameter which are being just carried with the vapors. So scientists started looking for some other parameter where they can evaluate or they can found this C instead of just going for this, because on the surface of tray when vapor starts carrying the liquid, so to measure the diameter of those liquid droplets which are just being carried is not easy task. So it was observed by the number of scientists. They just performed some experiments on the under various conditions of the column, this tray spacing, tray diameter, and as well as by working with the various liquids of different surface tension. So there was some empirical relationship developed for calculation of C, and that involved, or it was found that that is dependent on the number of factors, and those factors include, first factor is related to the surface tension, Then there is foaming also plays a role, and it affects this parameter C. So then there is factor related to the hole, to the active area. Hole on the surface of tray, there is area for holes and overall area of the tray. And then there is factor related to CF. This is actually something related to the tray spacing. We will just look at this, how we can find. So surface tension factor FST, that is just linked with something sigma over 20 power 0.2. So this is again empirical relationship based on the observation under the various experimental conditions. So they reach to just this conclusion. And this foaming factor, for foaming factor, if it is non-foaming system, there is no foam formation for the liquid which you are using, effective values is 1, but most of the time for observer, because the liquid which are used, they form somehow like some foam, so it is 0.75, or even it can be less than that. If we are just moving toward less, it's mean more foam formation. So for various liquids, we can find from some literature that what are the values of different foaming factor. But if you just consider non-foaming, you can just directly use it 1. And then this is FHA. So here you can see that FHA is 1 for AH over AA greater than 0.1. And this, what is AH and AA, vapor hole area, is called AH. On the surface of any tray, complete tray is not like, does not have holes. There are some portion that is dedicated for the holes. So to is the area open to the vapor through which they just come in contact with the liquid on the surface of tray. And this is overall tray active area. If you just consider a tray and we just exclude the downcomer areas, this area is called active area, and inside that there will be area where there will be holes or the valve or a bubble cap, so that area is called AH. So if the area of hole to the active area is greater than or equal to you can say 10%, so in that case this FHA factor is 1. But if this area is between 6 to 10%, then you can find the value of FHA by using this factor. In that case, you will need the value of active area as well as the whole area, and you have to just use this factor to find it. Sigma is the surface tension, and you have to take care that unit should be dyne per centimeter. Now here I think gas forming factor FST is surface tension factor, and FHA is discussed. Only left over is CF. So CF is some factor related to the tray spacing, and that is given here in this diagram. So we can look in this diagram on y-axis, CF is given, while on x-axis there is some parameter FLV. I will come back to this, but here inside the diagram you can see that there are different lines which are indicating different tray or plate spacing. So you can see here that when tray spacing is changing, for any given value of this factor, CF factor will be varied. Due to this, earlier mentioned in last slide, that this factor C, the scientists have seen that this was dependent on the tray spacing. So this FLV is the ratio between somehow there are liquid and vapor flow rate and their densities. So if you remember earlier when we started the discussions of this design, so L for the liquid molar flow rate and V for vapor molar flow rate. And if you just multiply this like molar flow rate with the molecular weight of the liquid, you will get simple mass flow rate, as well as for vapor you will get simple vapor flow rate. So you can say that this is the liquid flow rate over vapor flow rate multiplied by the ratio of their density, and that is combined named as something FLV, factor relating liquid and vapor flow rates. So that's we can get and can calculate whenever you are designing. If you know definitely your system that what are vapor and as well as the liquid being used for absorption, and as well at the given condition their densities, this factor can be easily found. And when we have decided the tray spacing, then we can look for the factor CF. And how does this affect the parameter C? If you just go back to that initial relationship of the sea from where it came. So in this, you can see here there is something called droplet diameter. So droplet diameter, if trace spacing is more, so in that case there will be a chance that small droplets start joining with each other and make a drop of large diameter. So when the diameter is large, in that case this C factor will be large as well. In that case, when the diameter is sufficiently large, in that case gravity can become dominant and particle can drop down. So this is just C when it is evaluated. You can just put here in this equation which was derived for calculating the flooding velocity. So that involves only this factor C, and which links number of parameter as well the densities of vapor and liquid. So here in this diagram, the factor which is CF, this is a diagram which is valid for sieve trays as well as bubble cap trays. But if you use it for calculation of the well trays, there is some deviation from this diagram, or there will be some error in the result. So here it is shown. Sorry. So in this diagram you can see that this is line or this is for actually well trace, but if you just look at the data of the previous figure, so this is the line as per previous figure, which you can see here as a in solid line, while the other these various points on diagram, they are related to experimental performance with the number of parameters by using these well trays. And you can see that when you are using the well trays, the value is just deviating from the line. So if you are using that diagram for the well trays, definitely you have to be careful. There will be some error in this CF. So still you can use it, but it will give you some error in the calculations. So when you have found the flooding velocity, as I said already, that this flooding velocity is something linked with the diameter of the tower. So how that's linked with that, or how we can find the tray diameter, so that can be just calculated by looking or while keeping in mind the flooding velocity. As we have just calculated flooding velocity here with this equation. So we know that flooding is the phenomena which we don't want to go for. If you just go back to that diagram where we started here, if you can see that efficient operation is just in between here, inside those boundaries. So as we said, weeping is not big issue as well as the flooding, but yes, endrainment is the issue. So due to this, we have just calculated that in order to design a tray, in order to find its diameter, flooding is something which should be kept in mind. So like if for example we calculated the velocity, and when there came a, for example, value of 10 meter per second, that we say that this is the point where if vapor velocity is 10 meter per second through the column, so in that case this flooding can take place. So we have to operate our column below the flooding. So due to this, when we look at the diameter of the tower, so that should be based on something less than the flooding velocity. So due to this diameter is based on fraction of the flooding velocity, some fraction of the flooding velocity. We just don't touch exact flooding velocity, we will just be keeping it below its value or below the 100% of this. So you can just write the equation for this to calculate the diameter, and that can be just written based on something called based on equation of continuity. So we can just you know that equation of continuity is something area into velocity. There product remains constant, so that can be rearranged if we just write a1 v1 is equal to a2 v2 as per our requirement. So here that will be just rearranged as molar vapor flow rate, that is equal to design velocity into flow area multiplied by molar density. So guys, you can just write these terms and can find that this is definitely a equation of continuity, nothing else. At least some part is pretty clear that velocity into area is one side. Other side, like we have a vapor flow rate, and that is molar vapor flow rates. That means moles per unit time, and this is the molar density. So that is like moles per unit volume. If you just take it to the other side of the equation, moles will cancel with the moles, and you will have something uh, volume per unit time. So that volume per unit time can be written as a area into velocity. So that's the same thing, just you can write it and derive if you are confused that either it is equation of continuity or not. It is. So here we have rearranged it for our purpose that vapor flow rate is equal to the three factors. One is like design velocity, and design velocity is some fraction of flooding velocity multiplied by flow area. Flow area is actually total area minus downcomer area on any tray. If this boundaries of the column, then there will be in between here downcomer area and downcomer for the next tray. So in between this is the area. So overall is the area A, and if you just subtract both downcomers area, you will get active flow area where liquid just flows on the surface of tray and come in contact with the liquid with the vapor, sorry, multiply by molar density, that is something density divided by molecular weight. So A here A is the total cross-sectional area, and that we can write it in the form of diameter, that is pi d square by 4. So when we are saying area, total cross-sectional area of the tray, then we said there is the area, active area, that is total area minus downcomer area. So this A, here we can replace it with the pi d square by 4 dt, diameter of the tower. So just replace here the A with this pi d square by 4, rearrange the equation, and you can just get something called diameter is equal to, just by rearranging this equation we can get the expression for calculating the diameter. So this involves vapor flow rate, molecular weight of the vapor, as well flooding velocity, fraction of the flooding velocity. We will just look at this what can be its value. Its value can be taken as 80%. So up to this is point to go for operation of the tower. If we, as well, for example, we said that, for example, flooding velocity is 10 meter per second, so you can take as design velocity 8 meter per second, 80% of the flooding velocity. So this factor AD over A, area of downcomer to the A, mean total area, that can be just uh, written or calculated or found, and that is linked with some factor FLV. So FLV, we have already seen that was the factor linking vapor and liquid flow rates in the previous diagram on the previous slide. So if the value of FLV is just less than 0.1, you can take AD over A, this factor, as a 0.1. Otherwise, if its value is greater than 1, so in that case AD will be AD, area of the downcomer to the area of the total tray, equal to just 0.2. Otherwise it will be just in between these two, and that can be found with this value of 0.1 plus, depending on the value of LV. So area of downcomer to the total area of the tray. As we have already seen that in order to keep proper operation, to avoid the choking of the column, so AD to the A, that should be somehow 10% or 0.1. Already you have seen that is in the fraction 0.1 or in, it will be like 10%. But for like maybe large liquid to the vapor flow rates, because this is the factor which links liquid and vapor flow rates. If liquid flow rate is too high, so in that case we have to keep this ratio up to 20%, so that there is a sufficient area available for the liquid to move towards the downward trend. And if we are just in between that, so in that case you can just go with this factor. So this column diameter, when we will be calculating, so column diameter is calculated for both top and bottom of the column. You calculate the two values, one for the top of the column and other is for the bottom of the column. Because there will be a difference between these two as we will move towards the top of the tower, there will be more vapors and less liquid as compared to this at the bottom. This will be a somehow more liquid at the bottom and less vapor. So definitely these values will be somehow different, but when you have calculated these values out of those, if they are different, the large one is used for finding for the purpose of the calculation or designing the column. Until unless they are quite very different from each other, so in that case then the column will be of different size from the top and the bottom. But normally if you calculated and there are two different areas, so in that case two different diameter, you have to select one with the large tower diameter. Because here the reason to select the large one is because if you take or you just design that large mean actually your vapor this flooding you have to avoid. But if you just design a column based on the smaller one, and although in one of the part, maybe either top of the bottom, that smaller diameter column will be okay to go. But if you will jump toward the other side where you need the large diameter, and if you have squeezed it, if you have reduced it, so vapor velocity will increase in that area, because in that area already you required large diameter, but you have still reduced it, further reduced it. So in that case the vapor velocity will increase in that area, and maybe instead of actual velocity or design velocity, you will be reaching to this factor of flooding velocity, and when there is a flooding, then it is not normal operation and will be causing trouble for you. So whenever we are designing these kind of columns and you calculate that the diameter of the tray is less than 2 feet, so in that case it is avoided to install the tray tower. Instead of that, we go for the PEG tower, and the reason is because when you install these columns inside the industry, in the shutdown periods or after some time, columns need cleaning from inside, and in order to access the internally columns, so there should be a sufficiently large diameter so that we can just uh, arrange the trays in such a way that people can go inside the towers. So just kindly Google it, that how the trays are designed so that people can just access inside or internals of the column. So in those cases you will see that trays are just designed in patches, or various parts of the are connected with each other, so that when you want to go for maintenance inside the column, so here tray will not be one complete or solid part, it will be like divided into 2-3 parts, for example here. So there will be just connection between the two parts of the tray by nut and bolts, so you can just open this side as well as this side, and this middle part can be removed. And when this middle part can be removed, anyone can just move from here, from this plate to the next, and so on. So for one human to move from this to the top, so there should be like 2 to 3 feet opening available. But if diameter of the column is less than 2 feet, then this provision you cannot provide. So due to this, it is avoided or go for the PEG towers. So up to here, if you have any question. Right, next thing is related.
कॉलम का डाया अपर साइड पे ज्यादा होगा या बॉटम साइड पे?
It depends. ओवरऑल जब कॉलम इंस्टॉल किए जाते हैं तो तभी कहा है कि दे शुड बी ऑफ सेम डायमीटर, नॉट डिफरेंट डायमीटर. So this is dependent on this factor which we are calling flooding velocity. So we have to avoid the flooding. So in that case, I think it will depend on the vapor velocity inside the column, and if you keep it the same, so throughout this the column, it should be same, but if we keep it different, then definitely there will be a different throughout the column. So relating to the trace spacing, spacing is increased when column height increases. So, but a column diameter will be reduced because higher velocities are tolerated. So, if we have a large height, in that case, you can just consider that spacing you can increase between the trays, and when we are increasing the space, in that case, we will not be reaching to this flooding point as when space is high or large between the trays. So in that case, the vapor can just the liquid which is being carried can be just dropped. So as well, like this 24-inch spacing is usually allowed for ease of maintenance, as well as this is very commonly used. Due to this, you have seen in the earlier diagram, he was also providing the data for mostly 24-inch spacing. So a small spacing, when if spacing is need to be small or less than this, so for small diameter columns, and in that case, when we have a small diameter column, so velocity will be uh, definitely high, and in that case, then if we have a large number of trays, we will be reaching to at the end of the day to the separation which we want to achieve. So large spacing is usually used for large columns with the few trays. If there are just few number of trays and you want to reach the main this separation, so then you can just use large spacing just to adjust the tray. So this is somehow linked with this parameter which we call it turn down ratio. So uh, when you operate any column, inside that there are two limitations. One is like there should exist minimum vapor flow rate, and this is necessary to avoid the weeping, because if you just reduce or just go below this minimum vapor flow rate, in that case liquid will start weeping through the opening, and so instead of going through the downcomer, and there is upper limit that is like that vapor shouldn't carry the liquid with it, and that we call it entrainment. So overall, the vapor, or sorry, these weeping and like flooding or entrainment are the two limitations which decide that in between these two, the flow of our system or the vapor flow should be carried out. So ratio of the vapor flow rate at flooding to the minimum vapor flow rate is just named as turn down ratio, or you can say that this is the maximum vapor flow allowed, which cause somehow flooding, to the minimum vapor flow which called weeping. So their ratio is just named as a turn down ratio. So that is approximately like already this have seen somewhere in some table, that this is 5 for the bubble cap trays, this is 4 for well trays, and only 2 for the sieve trays. That shows that in order to avoid the weeping, you have to increase the vapor flow rate, but just as you increase it to the some limit, then you will be quickly reaching to the upper limit of the flooding. So due to this, it is not that good to go far, but well trays or bubble cap trays are main better. So just to summarize the things which we have discussed up to here, so when vapor and liquid flow rate are changing appreciably in their values, so then their column diameter, display spacing, whole area, they just can be varied to reduce the cost of the column and ensure stable operation with the high efficiency. So tray spacing variation is usually common for the sieve trays because of their low turn down ratio, because to avoid the weeping, when you just increase the vapor flow rate and you quickly reach to the upper limit, so in that case the tray spacing should be enough high so that droplets which are entrained, they can be just go down towards the tray due to gravity. So related to this calculation of the diameter of the tower, there is example 6.8, and finally that is not difficult, just solve that. If you face any difficulty and problem, just let me know. Let's skip this as that's not that important. I will maybe discuss along with the next lecture. So tray layout, when the you know now that the height of the column as well as the number of the trays, how many will be needed, their efficiency, and later you have calculated this flooding velocity as well as the diameter, then how trays like should lie inside the column. So you have to select their types initially, that what will be either sieve or bubble cap, then the number of liquid passes across the tray, like either one pass, two pass. So this you have already seen in the last lecture, that this is linked with that the contact or efficiency of the vapor liquid main contact. So if overall mixing is low on the surface of tray, so then you have to go for more than one passes, and that is also linked with the flow rate on the surface of the tray. So there was one diagram this which can help you to select the number of passes on the tray. There is something related to the tray spacing. We just discussed that depending on the requirement, either you have a few trays or large number of trays and the height of the column, you can just adjust that, but 24 inch is optimum or good to go for. Downcomer area, as you just have seen that downcomer area at least should be 10% of the total area of the tray, to just avoid the choking of downcomer, as well to handle all the liquid just going towards the down plate. So downcomer wear height, definitely that should also be sufficiently high, so that you can hold some liquid and can increase the contact between vapor and liquid. Although here we didn't just directly discuss it, but somewhere we discussed that there should be stay of the liquid on the surface of tray, so that the contact can be increased between vapor and liquid. But in some books like rules of thumb or some other of your texts which you can find maybe some values for this. And downcomer clearance at the bottom, that for example there is a tray, and when downcomer is bringing to the liquid, so how much should be this clearance between tray and where this downcomer's plate ends. So these parameters are actually, all of these parameters, they help you to keep your operation inside the limits, like just beyond weeping and entrainment, and that's like entrainment still will occur, but that shouldn't exceed like above 10%, as well as the weeping should not go above 10%. So if you just select these carefully, as this based on all the discussion up to here, now then your operation will be hopefully normal. So tray pressure drop, this is something which you have to search for. Kindly just go through some of the text, so how you can calculate the pressure drop. I'm just not gonna cover here, although in your textbook it is not covered, but just look for some other of the text which are provided to you. So but generally it is like approximately 0.05 psi when you are operating something vacuum towers, but in normal operation or high operation tower it is 0.15 psi. So on a one tray, so you can find that if there will be large number of trays, definitely there will be more pressure drop. So related to the wears, as we were saying that wear height selection, so wear loading should not be greater than 8 gallon per minute per inch of the wear height. So to just for better contact of the vapor and liquid, you have to avoid this guideline, and with that, if your flow rate of the liquid is sufficiently high, it means you will need more length of the wear to handle more amount of the liquid. For sieve tray, the percent hole area and diameter, you have to select when you are selecting the sieve trays and want to design the column. So this percent hole area, as we said, that this should be around 10%, or maybe it can be between 6 to 10%. So, and what will be the diameter of the holes? When we discussed the trays earlier somewhere, so there we have discussed that what are usually the diameter range for these. But if you are using the valve tray, so in that case, type of the valve and valve spacing, that was also I think 2 to 3 inch for the one valve. So that is also a parameter to be selected when designing the column. So related to this, there will be one again another example 6.10. So also just solve it please. in between them there is 6.9 deciliter at the moment. So just to summarize the everything up to here, after calculating the minimum liquid flow rate required for some absorption as well as the theoretical number of trays, then we have seen that how we can go for calculation of efficiency. The different methods will discuss and you can opt with those. So then after deciding that, we can find actual number of trays required in the column, and later after deciding the tray spacing you can find the height of the column. Then the other parameter which is important is the diameter, and related to diameter, first that is linked with the flooding velocity. So after finding the flooding velocity you can go for the calculation of diameter, and in this calculation of the diameter many things are decided. For example, the whole area, active area, like this, now wear height and so on. So then how trays will be laid that you can avoid any of the extreme condition of weakening as well as flooding in that. So thank you so much, and